Hey everybody, I got headphones on this time, so I've jumped up in technology. Here's my studio again. Hey everybody, how's it going? I am winging it tonight because I've really been wanting to jump on the bit and make a video, and then realizing that I'm jumping on the bit, that I'm biting on something that I don't really have. It's a piece of leather. I can't bite a piece of leather off. I gotta, so I've been postponing and thinking. And really what's gonna come now is gonna be a slop of pig's food. And don't get me wrong, I love pigs. I've raised pigs and I love pigs. I love them. But it's just gonna be a jumble of food that any pig would like to eat, which pigs eat pretty much anything, and so do I. Sorry, maybe someday I'll become vegan, but, and maybe, maybe that'll make a difference, but for now I'll do anything. I was thinking about stuff, and I feel like the most prominent thing for me is that while I'm delving in my spiritual process and watching other people on YouTube in their process and trying to process whether or not I'm actually seeing people in my real world experience and process their own spiritual awakenings, which I know there are, but it's hard to compare when you feel so kind of isolated, because I feel like there's a level of isolation and stuff that happens when you're going through ascension or a spiritual awakening, or just trying to, when you're vibing on spirit, it's like hard to relate to other people in a lot of ways. And one thing that I'm realizing is that I just keep telling myself that no matter what I watch or what I hear or what I say myself, and obviously what I do myself or what other people do, or any kind of, if I was a scientist gathering information, no matter what, I've got to keep what in my intuition and what feels right in me always number one. And because that, and the argument there is like, well, what have I developed my own moral values? Have I developed my value system? Value system would mean the core foundational elements of what I or a person structures their beliefs, their thoughts, their actions, their life and their legacy on, which is still movable and shiftable with time. I would never, cage myself in with this value system that's so dogmatic. I love my family, but I grew up in such a dogmatic value system. It's hard for me to want to go back to that kind of thing. So really what it comes down to is I'm just in awe, and I'm actually so proud. And I just gotta say shout out to all the people that are out there making video after video and really channeling their, whoever or whatever they're channeling, and just providing whoever has the time and patience to search and seek out information that is so invaluable. Like, we can't find it anywhere else. This is like the stuff that I feel like I've been able to find on YouTube. I just feel so blessed to live right now. It sounds so funny, YouTube, right? But I feel so blessed to live right now where international libraries are at my fingertips, where most every book, whether I want to read it on a screen or read it in real life, or if I want to have somebody read it to me auditorily, I can, anything that I want to learn, I could quit my job and start learning it. And in some ways, going through a spiritual ascension, a lot of things like jobs. Now, don't get me wrong what I'm saying. Just kind of try and listen to my point of me and recognize that this is me with jumbled this and that job and shit like that. Like, when you're starting to become an information gatherer, it becomes more and more difficult to not recognize patterns and things within each something, like, say, society, or, like, behavior within yourself, or whatever you're researching. And it becomes harder and harder to justify working, like, a ridiculous 9-to-5 job, which, you can compare and contrast to, all right, well, I'm not slaved away in a place in a third world country, blah, 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 blah. How do we know that we're not in a third world country, slaved away, and that we're not just being fed information and shit? Or I know that people travel and they see things and they compare, the way things are here in the United States of America to other places. True, right? But our perceptions are always different at all times. So how do you know that your job isn't your slave wage, I guess for me, they've said, I've heard on videos, the age of information is over. We're now in the blankety blank age. I'm not going to put a label on it because I can't. I'm still in my own process of exploring so many different topics. Alchemy being my fave, because I think that it puts the power of the magician, which is, to me, everybody is a magician. I mean, it just seems like the power of the manipulation of this reality, this illusion, that puts the power back into the person. And that's why I love alchemy, why I've been doing videos on it, mostly to understand it more myself. Obviously, the way that I've been, the way that I talk and try and convey, I know it's a little, I know. But my thoughts and my processes are still trying to, like, ground. And I don't know. It's hard. It's hard once you start gathering information to justify the way that you're living anymore. And except for the fact that, you need a place you need the things that you've been, built up. For your family, for yourself, whatever, supposedly, right? It's really hard because when you start to maybe transcend mentally the state of being that you were so accustomed to, and in my case, and maybe many others, like, so just, it was the norm and I was miserable, and little bits of loveliness always were just little bits of loveliness, and most everything that I wanted to invest my wholehearted loyalty and love in broke itself down right before my eyes quite quickly, over and over and over, and which was actually to my advantage to help propel me on a quantum leaping path, because there was nothing else I could do except continue to be. I'm not disregarding that my actions were part of this, but it's all part of everything. I was quantum leaping within the Tower card of the tarot toward a total rebirth. And I see that now in my birthing. I've become born into a different mindset, and it's very difficult when you're born into a mindset where there aren't really parents around. There's a few foster parents and people who you're kind of like born into this jungle, and you're just kind of like figuring out, and some of the monkeys are feeding you and this and that, and pity you and help you, and you're just still kind of trying to raise yourself, which is beautiful. But it might make you want to quit your job and start to try and invest your time in study, because for God's sake, I know how many people, I gotta say, I actually got all my school paid for. I really fucking did. I did. Grants and scholarships. I mean, this is not a congratulations. I don't know what that is. I don't even know how that happened, but I know so many people who have student loans. And I just think that's the most ludicrous thing that I can think of, like that people are still paying for their education, and a lot of people are not making the money that, or are not even working in the field that they got their degree in. I mean, it's just ludicrous that our structure of our system is not supporting the new growth. Like the old growth forest is killing the new growth, or conspiring to kill the new growth forest. So the old growth, can't say redwoods. I love redwoods. I hate calling it a forest, but you can put it in your mind's image like this. It would be like a forest where maybe it's like Princess Mononoke kind of forest where everything's enchanted, right? And there's these particular trees that are these old trees that just think they got it right, and they let the young trees come up, but the old trees are like they should be allowing themselves to like fall over and whatever, because they're starting to become toxic. Like ash coming off their needles is becoming toxic for the under canopy of trees, and they decide that they don't want to die, that they want to this and that. That's kind of how I feel like things are in this world. I feel like the youth aren't valued anymore. And, you hear a lot like the elderly are not valued as well. I'm not even really talking the old growth. When I say old growth, I mean more of like the power growth. But the youth are not valued right now. Youth haven't been valued in a long time. Like future hasn't been valued, So creating one's own education in a way, I don't want to go on to negative tangents ever, and I try really hard not to do that, but I have children, and anybody who lives in the United States of America has got to know that public school is not a safe place anymore. Period. If nothing for, I don't want to be fear-mongering either, but I don't know what's going on with education. Just seems so warped and now not safe even for elementary school children. And I feel like it's almost our responsibility as anybody who's interested in awakening and becoming somewhat of a leader in which I know comes with great responsibility. That's why I personally want to be really careful with what I'm putting out and whatnot, because I don't want all the responsibility, not yet at least, but we need to educate ourselves. We really do. And the cool thing about it is that it's at our fingertips. I mean, for God's sake, right? And I just gotta say that some of the shit that's out there is so amazing. And going back to the beginning of this 13 minutes in, like I use my intuition and how I feel and I give everybody a chance. I'm not gonna be like, I practiced deep listening skills. I have not mastered it, but I practice it. So I try and give videos a chance. I don't do just like this, I've learned to control the attention deficit, disorder that is not just to the youth. It's for everybody, anybody who's watching media, but I don't watch media stuff anymore. Just YouTube. That's a little kind of media. Yeah, there's some advertisements, but I try to deeply listen to whether I'm going on, and it's a little more infrequent, but still I'll still go on and listen to somebody do the blankety blank tarot reading for the month or something, right? And I'll do that, and sometimes I'll listen to it all the way through. If whatever doesn't resonate or whatever, I'm not dwelling on that, like that person got it wrong, or getting more deeper, people who really hold the responsibility of doing videos on very deep, especially when it comes to philosophy in the spiritual and metaphysical realm of things, which is my favorite of all things, because it's the most unknown, and this is like the juice of knowledge that is forbidden and still in its ways. But man, I just got to give all them people props for putting that out there, because I can't imagine that you got to be getting slammed with so much, hatred or over love or everything in between. And I just gotta say that for me, for everybody who's watching stuff and trying to cultivate their own education, yeah, I got my degree. Did I get educated? Not really. Like, I mean, maybe. I don't have loans. I'm really grateful. I did. No, I take this all back. I loved my education. It got me to where I am now. It's the one thing that I did for myself, because I love my children, but this is the one thing I did for myself, by myself, all by myself, that I am extremely, number one, proud about, was graduating from university. I'm so proud of myself for doing that. So, and I did get an education, but still, it could have been a lot better. You know what I mean? And so, I just think that all of us should be going out there, and maybe the first thing you need to do is start researching videos on how to fine-tune your intuitive skills, how to maybe, go on to like owl medicine, so that you can understand how to pick up on things in the more psychic realm of not being able to be deceived. That has been such a good help for me. I can't tell you how much owl medicine has been so good for me, good to me. It presented itself to me, for me, without me asking out loud, obviously maybe in my subconscious, but it's been very difficult for me to not engage with somebody or thing and not be able to feel the untruths. It's more like the truth will be kind of apparent, even if it's subtle, but the untruths are like just in my face. The lie, the dishonesty is just so obvious. It's like palpable, And so going on and starting to develop your psychic abilities will really help you when you're searching out information in general, even if it's not metaphysical or whatever. If you just want philosophical, because spiritual is one of those terms I continue to say is a funky word, because it just got so much it's got so much stigma on it, and nobody, a lot of people get bad taste. But whatever you're researching, I really do say, I have to say, even if I'm going to ground it in science, even science, quantum physics is going to back up some of this, some of this, sixth sense stuff of psychic ability. And I mean, we all got intuition. That's it, Go find, I would say the first thing you need to do if you even want to step into the world of giving yourself your own education is to learn to be very good at discernment. And discernment to me has nothing to do with the conscious level of awareness. That has everything to do with subconscious. So start there. Start there with that. Start with the word subconscious. Look up what that means. Go on and look up. That'll probably lead you into realms of what this and that. Go into there. Start doing your research and throw out what doesn't work, and what does work, put it in your little portfolio. Your little categorized portfolio. Put it in your big, awesome basket that you like to throw all your things in, because you like kind of the more chaotic method, or just log it in your head because you're so like photographically your memory is just like, and you like to do it like that. Put it there, log it away, write it down on a list like I do. Like I have 10 million, 100 lists that I've ever wrote, and I'll keep writing them on a list, and start doing your research and start doing your second education if it's your second, first if it's your first, wherever level that you're at. The last thing I'm going to say in this last minute is that well, I took like 8 years of piano when I was younger, and I really loved playing piano and music, but it kind of fell off with that when I started going to school and working, had a kid, blah, blah, blah. And then kind of recently I wanted to try guitar. Oh my gosh, it's such a different instrument. Piano is so masculine, and guitar is so feminine. That's for me, not for you guys, but that's how I felt about it. I was like, I can play piano, not this. But the guy who I was taking lessons from, really amazing, really, really well in years. Yeah, I think he was like 89 or something. He was up there, which was wonderful, but he was spry AF, and I'm like, what's your secret? He says, he was like, for one, did you know that I'm studying Latin right now? And I'm like, hell no, you're studying Latin? Why are you studying Latin? He's like, you got to keep your mind elastic. He says, I try and study something all the time. As soon as you sit down and stop like trying to learn, that's when your brain starts to calcify and atrophy. So go out there, get your education, do it yourself. You can do it. 0 student loans. Much love, guys. Thank you.